Good evening and welcome to the Reflective Coach podcast with Coach Luca. In this episode, I am reinventing Chelsea, creating my greatest ever Chelsea setup. So I'm going to go through some of the decision making behind my team, and as if I was Roman Abramovich and I had invested and bought over the club, the steps that I would take, or just based around the team rather than the in-depth, structure and strategy in this sense. But if I was to reinvent the club in terms of the investment, this is what I would do. So I would appoint Jose Mourinho as manager. Now I'm looking at the appointments in terms of building the greatest ever Chelsea squad with the best coach, with the best coaching staff. From the time whilst these players were here. So if it was an illusion and we were taken into another vortex, another world as such, this is the sort of squad and management which I would have based upon the success while all these individuals were here at Chelsea. So Jose Mourinho would be appointed manager. He had 321 games. He won 204 of them. He drew 69. He lost 48. He boasted a win percentage of 65.33%. He had 575 goals for, only 239 against, leaving a goal difference of 336, delivering 8 trophies with 19 awards during his time as manager, beating and creating 4 records in the process whilst at Chelsea over his 2 spells collectively. Obviously, he delivered 3 Premier League titles. What a manager Jose Mourinho was. He is Chelsea's greatest ever manager. So he would be appointed as the manager. Now look at the coaching team, and these are all the coaches who helped bring success to Chelsea over the years and have worked with Jose Mourinho. So at the staff front now we have his long trusted assistant manager, Rui Ferreira, who is no longer currently coaching with him, but brought much success to Chelsea whilst Jose was there. Now we know that Andre Villas-Boas, Steve Clarke and Ray Wilkins were all integral staff members when Jose was originally at Chelsea and helped him bring much success. Over the periods of time, additions such as Steve Holland upon Jose's return was involved in helping him bring success and remained at the club before Jose was there and after Jose left. Or I think there was a slight time when he might have left for the England setup. I'm not quite sure, I can't quite recall, but in that sense Steve Clarke did remain part of Jose's coaching staff, and I would have Steve Clarke as part of the coaching staff. Brendan Rodgers was obviously at Chelsea when Jose was previously there. If we had Brendan Rodgers with the knowledge that he has now as a manager, on top of what he did at Chelsea at that time, he is a fantastic appointment to the coaching staff. Now, Enrique Hilario was a player during his time at Chelsea whilst Mourinho was there. But we're looking at this in a sense of who would be available, and if we could appoint coach Enrique Hilario on the basis of the time that he had an experience that he can bring from when he was a player as a coach, he's a great appointment to have alongside this very wealthy available coaching staff. Now I'm going to start off with goalkeeper Petr Cech. Now I will like to say we're going to play a 4-3-3 system with a holding central defensive midfielder, a right-sided central midfielder, a left-sided central midfielder, a right wing, a left wing, and a striker. So Chelsea's greatest ever goalkeeper Petr Cech, 494 games, 202 clean sheets. Total trophies 15 and 19 awards. Over his time he had 4 Premier League titles, 1 Europa League, 1 Champions League, 3 English League Cups, 4 English FA Cups and 4 English Community Shields. Most clean sheets in Chelsea's history for a goalkeeper. Doesn't actually boast the highest percentage as a goalkeeper of clean sheets kept in the amount of games that he has played. But that's because when you look at the contrast of the games that he has played, he played in the Premier League era, very, very tough. He did boast 202 clean sheets, becoming the highest record holder for most clean sheets for Chelsea. So even though he doesn't have the highest percentage, he has the most in history, which is an amazing accolade. Right back Paulo Ferreira, what a player he was. 217 games, 2 goals, 8 assists and 12 trophies, consisting of 3 Premier League titles, 4 FA Cups, 2 English League Cups, 1 English Community Shield, 1 Champions League title and 1 Europa League title. Just off his accolades there, whilst at Chelsea, you can see the success that he did bring to Chelsea whilst he was there, the impact that he made, the quality which he offered, and obviously bringing and winning that and having that much success while he was at Chelsea. If he was available to slot into the squad in his prime on the basis of having all that success, then Paulo Ferreira would be a solid right back to choose for Chelsea there. But he is my choice there at right back. Alongside him is centre-back John Terry, the greatest ever Chelsea player and Chelsea captain. 715 games, 67 goals, 27 assists, totaling 17 trophies. Now, I was looking at that strangely enough there, and all his stats there all boast the number 7 in there. Quite a high number on a 1 to 10 scale. Just a little oddity in there from that sense, but 5 Premier League titles, 5 English FA Cups, 3 English League Cups, 2 English Community Shields, 1 Europa League and 1 Champions League. So again, like Paulo Ferreira, he brought a lot of success to Chelsea. Mr. Captain, fantastic, solid at the back, fantastic servant. Obviously back at the club now as an academy coach, having been also an assistant manager over previous years, but we're taking JT as our solid centre-back and captain whilst he was in his prime. Alongside him, we have Ricardo Carvalho. 210 games, 11 goals, 6 assists, 9 trophies, 3 Premier League titles, 3 English FA Cups, 2 English League Cups, and 1 English Community Shield. Another strong centre-back, a total leader on the pitch, fantastic experience, and Mr. Dependable. Alongside JT, that is one solid centre-back partnership, and we did see that over the years. So to recreate that would be fantastic. Left back Ashley Cole. Again, he is linked up with former Chelsea player Frank Lampard at Everton right now. But what a player AC was. 337 games, 7 goals, 38 assists, 10 trophies. 1 Premier League title, 4 English FA Cups, 1 English League Cup, 1 Europa League and 2 English Community Shields. Now, when I was looking at the stats of what AC achieved, I was very shocked that he only had 1 Premier League title at Chelsea. He did win a few more because he was part of that amazing Arsenal squad and came through a great time, but only 1 Premier League title at Chelsea. I was absolutely shocked, but what a fantastic player he was. Seemed to be England's greatest ever left back, but fantastic player, you know, winning that Champions League title, which I've just realised I've missed off the trophy list there. Yeah, when I that is the one that I've missed off. But fantastic player, and went through a great emotion of time of winning that that Champions League title. Central defensive midfielder. My choice is Claude Makelele. What a player! Just energetic, box to box, could open up a game, could swing a pass. 217 games, 2 goals, 6 assists, 6 trophies, 2 Premier League titles, 1 FA Cup, 2 English League Cups, and 1 English Community Shield. I just was always a fan of Makelele. I was sort of supporting Chelsea on the back end of when he was leaving, so I didn't see too much of Claude firsthand and when he played for Chelsea, but I always liked him. I always would keep him when I was playing FIFA 07, FIFA 08. Big fan of his, and I really liked Claude, and I would pick him in my Chelsea side. Now, the right central midfielder, as Essien says that Jose is his daddy, and Jose said that as well. Michael Essien. What a player he was. The goals that he scored, he was just a huge impact to the squad. 256 games, 25 goals, 20 assists, totaling 8 trophies with 2 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League title, 3 English FA Cups, 1 English League Cup, 1 English Community Shield. Now, alongside Claude Makelele, already that's a very strong central midfield area. You know, Claude Makelele opening up passes, box to box, working the ball, SCN carrying the pace that he had. He could also then pick up, the ball. If Makelele's playing a cross and then Michael SCN's then playing another ball on top of that, already you're creating the danger against the opposition when you're in the attack. And out of possession to have SCN and Claude Makelele there again is such a solid midfield area. The left-sided central midfielder Frankie Lampard, 648 games, 211 goals, 145 assists, 13 trophies, and 1 award in that time. All the data is based off Transfer Market, and he is Chelsea's top goal scorer in history. 3 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League titles, 1 Europa League title, 2 English League Cups, 4 English FA Cups, 2 Community Shields, and 1 Footballer of the Year. What a player Frank Lampard was. We all know how great he was. Better than Steven Gerrard, in my opinion, and would go in the squad, any all-time Premier League squad, all-time England squad over Stevie G. And Paul Scholes, but Frankie Lampard obviously makes up the solid midfield and quality with the success with all these players brought in midfield. Right wing, Gianfranco Zola, if he was prime available and played in the time when Jose was there, he would have won a lot more. I'm absolutely sure of it. But 306 games, 76 goals, 22 assists, 5 trophies, with 1 UEFA Super Cup title, 1 English League Cup, 2 FA Cups, and 1 Community Shield. Now, if he was prime Chelsea in the squad that we had with Jose, I believe he could have been a much more successful player, but he fits into this squad with the talent, with the feet, with the natural quality that he had, just that energy which he boasted when in attack. Gianfranco Zola makes that squad time and time again. In front of him then, or alongside him, is Didier Drogba, arguably our greatest ever striker. The impact that he had on and off the field, the impact off the bench, what he brought starting games, the way that he had, caused such threat to the defence. All the goals he scored, especially against Arsenal, the danger which he posed, how busy he was, how strong defenders hated marking him. He could move away, he could pull off. He was fantastic. 381 games, 164 goals, 86 assists, 16 trophies, with 4 awards, with 4 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League title, 3 English League Cups, 4 English FA Cups, 4 Community Shields, 2 African Footballer of the Year awards because of his time at Chelsea, and 2 Premier League top goal scorers. And now he did return to Chelsea at another point at an older age because of the quality which he was still able to offer, and we know how much of an impact Didier brought. Left wing, Eden Hazard. What a player Eden is. And, when we build this squad together, the quality that we have available, and that attack, Zola on the right side, Drogba in the centre, Hazard on the left. Hazard boasted 352 games, 110 goals, 92 assists, 6 trophies, and 1 award, with 1 Premier League title. Only 1 title for Eden Hazard. When he's got those stats and the quality which he brought and the impact which he had at Chelsea, to only have 1 Premier League title again is an absolute shock, because he's a player who deserves so much more. But 2 Europa League titles, 1 FA Cup, 1 English League Cup, and 1 Player of the Year. A huge impact. Again, the talent on the left opening up, the runs at the defenders, the assists, the way he could open up, the skills. He was just a handful to mark. Created a lot of danger when in possession of the ball and in those attacking positions. You've got Zola with his magical feet on the right side. You've got Didier being strong. You've got Hazard on the left wing creating opportunities, opening up the defence, running at them, and suddenly you lose the ball and you've got mighty Frank Lampard there to pick the ball up and swing the ball back in from a cross or take a shot. Then Essien, if he's available, or the ball drops into him, and then Makelele behind, and behind them you have JT and Carvalho with Ashley Cole on the left side, Paulo Ferreira at right back, and then Petr Cech in goal. You have a very, very solid team which boasts clean sheets, solid defence, success, leadership, strength, creativity, attack, goals, European titles, Premier League, FA Cups, Community Shields, top goal scorer awards, assists, the greatest ever defender Chelsea's ever seen, greatest ever midfielder that Chelsea's ever had, their top goal scorer in history, with Chelsea's most successful ever manager and the coaching team which understand what Chelsea is, bringing their values and their core qualities through. This is a very solid Chelsea setup and squad that is available. Now, if we look at the bench as well, you've got Carlo Cudicini as your backup goalkeeper. Now, I was a big fan of Carlo. It was a shame that he got injured and then was ultimately replaced by Petr Cech, but Paulo was a fantastic goalkeeper. He does boast the highest clean sheet percentage in history for Chelsea. And when you look at the amount of games that he had played and the clean sheets in them, he actually boasts very good stats. So I was looking at Peter Bonetti, but for me, Carlo Cudicini pinches it because of his stats, because of his quality, and makes it on the bench as the second choice keeper for me. And especially if Petr Cech was out injured, Carlo would be, the long-term replacement, or would fill in for that point, and would absolutely rival Petr Cech for that number one spot. It's not like you have a number two coming off the bench whilst your number one is out injured, and as soon as your number one returns, the keeper that was filling in is straight back to the bench. Carlo would be the goalkeeper to absolutely rival him. You could look at Thibaut Courtois, another strong goalkeeper off the lot of Chelsea. If he had stayed, he could have won a lot more and been well respected. But Carlo Cudicini showed what it was to remain at Chelsea. He stayed loyal. He's currently back at the club as a coach, but he showed true loyalty over the years. Even though he was on the bench, he came off the bench and covered, and just he offers a lot more, and didn't jump ship as soon as a club showed interest in him, and is a very solid goalkeeper. We want a mix of defenders, strikers, and midfielders available. Jose Bazingua, 126 games, 11 goals, 7 assists, and 5 trophies, including a Champions League. Now, he does have a lot of quality to offer from the bench. He brought success. He absolutely loved Chelsea. And although he only played 126 games, and some people might not even have Jose Bazingua on the bench, for me, he offers a lot. And what he brought to the club, and being a winner that he was, and the success that he brought Chelsea as well as in Europe, and that commitment which he had, to have him available on the bench to replace right back Paulo Ferreira is a great opportunity and a great player available from the bench. So Jose Bazingua makes it on the bench for me, especially in consideration, as I said, of replacing Paulo Ferreira, and he suits Jose's style, also being a Portuguese player. Now, with the likes of Claude Makelele, Michael Essien, and we know Jose likes holding player, but even so, in building this squad in terms of 4-3-3, and what I like, N'Golo Kante makes the bench. He's very unlucky to miss out on the starting lineup, but I'm sure if you looked at a 5-year period of Claude Makelele playing consistently, and then a 5-year period of N'Golo Kante playing consistently, both in their prime, at different points at Chelsea. So if you have 5 years of Makelele, then 5 years of Kante, and then you said, right, I've got another 5 years in charge out of the 10-year analysis of both, when you had 5 and 5, I'm sure that N'Golo Kante would take over that CDM permanently. But N'Golo is such a great player, makes the bench and Chelsea squad every time for me. 262 games, 13 goals, 15 assists, and 6 trophies. Just continuously works hard. He's an absolute player to have. He's got full of energy. He's committed. He never moans. He never whinges. He's a complete team player. He's happy to be there. He plays his squad position well. He can start. He can come off the bench. He's box to box. He drops in. He gets interceptions, strong tackles. He's a great player, and Kante. Obviously, SCN is a slightly different player, can offer the shots, the goal scoring element, the power, and N'Golo Kante isn't always known for goal scoring, but to have his energy and work rate available to come on and replace Makelele, then to play alongside Lampard and SCN is the perfect complement, and to have him available. Now, Matic was a great player for Chelsea, especially when Jose was there, but he just misses out for me, and it's such a shame to have Matic miss out because of what he did bring to Chelsea and what success that he helped bring. He just misses out from the midfielders available. Now, Jimmy Greaves, 58 goals in 63 games. Imagine prime Greaves, who's committed to Chelsea alongside Drogba, available to come off the bench, even if he had 58 goals in 63 games, to come off the bench and say replace Drogba is an amazing striker choice to have available. Or if you want a consistent Greavesy starting 10 games in a row and Drogba on the bench, you have two very equal, two very high quality strikers that you could start. Both different players in their own sense, but both fantastic strikers. And it's not like you're losing Drogba for, you know, a Fernando Torres. I truly loved Fernando Torres. I gave him so much backing at Chelsea. Every time I was on FIFA, I'd always give him a start when I was younger. I really liked him. I gave him so much support. But when you look at, even though he scored that amazing goal in the Champions League final and he still had quality, he wasn't the same player as he was at Liverpool. And I think when you go from like a Drogba to the Torres that we had, and then you got a choice of Greavesy available on the bench and Drogba at the start of front, there's a big gulfing drop in Drogba for the Torres that we had. Whereas if you had the Liverpool Torres that came over and played Chelsea, he would be the superb replacement as we expected, or was expecting at Chelsea at that time. It didn't happen, didn't come about, but Jimmy Greaves makes the bench. Now, Marcel Desailly, what a solid player. Could absolutely rival Carvalho, or even so much replace him because of his strength and power alongside JT. Now, it was a very difficult choice, but when you look at JT, Carvalho, Desailly, again, that bench and the option of who to drop, who to start, that consistency if you want to start Desailly for 10 games and then Carvalho would try and rival him for his spot back and the other way around. They're both truly strong players, and a fantastic defence to have available. And if you had either one on the bench in a top game and you were beating Arsenal 2-1 for a title contending match, you had to bring one on. It's not like you have to bring on a Maguire, for example. You have two top quality centre-backs available. Now, alongside Kerry Dixon, 217 games, 77 goals, 16 assists. Now, again, you put him in a prime Chelsea, I believe he's having so much more success. A fantastic player, played in obviously a much different era. But I feel if you put him with a Greavesy, with a Drogba, with a Zola, with a Hazard, in that 4-3-3 with the rest of the squad available and Jose Mourinho, when they were having the success that they were having, he would have been a much more successful player. And when we look back in history and we talk about these players, it's such a shame that they didn't play in certain eras, because if we could have, you know, had that vortex of putting them in that era and playing at Chelsea for the same amount of time that they played previously, it would have been great to have that contrast in terms of the successes, so much so as if a simulation, and we were putting a database on Football Manager of obviously the time when they were there, and obviously coming up with the stats that they had, against putting them in a database where they would be in modern day, and seeing how they would fare, for example. But Kerry Dixon makes the bench for me. Now, Cesc Fabregas, I just loved Fabregas at Chelsea. I believe he was the perfect signing, suited us all over. Again, another strong midfielder available on the bench. Quality, 198 games, 22 goals and 58 assists with 5 trophies. He offered us a lot. He brought success. He was a fantastic player. I was gutted when he left Chelsea, but when we signed him, I was over the moon. And I just think that is such a strong bench available. You know, if you said, right, I'm going to bring off Lampard, he's had 68 minutes, he's given his all, let's get SEN off as well, and then you went, right, Kante Fabry on with Makelele. It's that quality is so strong, and then you go, right, we're going to sub Carvalho in the 78th minute, we're going to bring on Desai. The strength, even, or if you're trailing the game 2-1 and Drogba is giving it his all and we need to get him off, Greavesy's available or Dixon's available. What a bench. You know, you can have 7 subs, and these are my 7, and I believe they're a very, very strong pick. All brought a lot of success to the club, and a very, very strong lineup. And this is my greatest ever Chelsea squad if I was reinventing Chelsea for what they were. And this is my pick. If you've got your own squad and your own pick as a Chelsea fan, or you're an outsider and this is your observation, then just drop your squad in the comments. Drop it below what formation you play, who your gaffer would be, what players you would pick, maybe some reasons why. But this is my greatest ever Chelsea squad. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and insight. I'm hoping to get a few more of these out, so I might do an England one next, and I'm hoping to have some guests on to talk about our most favourite XI team of all time, which I'm really looking forward to. But I hope you enjoyed this little insight. I'm going to try and cover clubs where I have so much respect for their legends, and players which I can really give some good information on. You know, I wouldn't go and pick Everton. I don't know their legends as well as enough. I don't know the information. I could do so much research into it, but you know, I support Chelsea. I can go and pick my greatest ever Chelsea team. If I want to pick a United team because of the squads that they've had over the years and success, and then an Arsenal, I'd be very, very comfortable in doing those 3 clubs. But you know, I wouldn't go and do a Fulham, or I wouldn't go into an Accrington Stanley. But I'm going to try and pick it off squads which I know quite a bit around. So I might do an AC Milan one, I might do an Italian XI, I might do a Brazilian XI, I might do a Barca XI, Real Madrid, and there's so many more of these which I want to get out and really, you know, talk more football with you all. But this is Coach Luca, the Reflective Coach Podcast. You can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Podcast Addict, and Anchor, as well as YouTube. You can also find it on Twitter and LinkedIn. Again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Coach Luca, the Reflective Coach Podcast, sponsored by Humble Gifts.